Hey everyone, it's me, Coffee Stitcher. It is Saturday night. I'm doing it early because we're actually going to the movies tomorrow during my normal video. And I wasn't really sure what else we had planned, and I had some downtime tonight to do it, so I'm doing it tonight. Have a lot to cover. Don't think I have a ton in Q&A, but I do have some haul and a couple of whip updates. So we're gonna get right on started, and obviously my normal Oz as well as a bigger discussion that's Oz related, but I will hold that for the end. So let's jump in with our Q&A. First off, thanks everyone for your good thoughts about the puppy bear. He is back to his normal self. So he's back to normal, and he appreciates your good thoughts as well. Q&A-wise, Vicky Hammonds asks, says, I am close to my first finish. It will need a good wash after. Any ideas what I should use? If you're using DMC, then just a little bit of water, and I believe you can use Dawn dish soap, but don't quote me on that, will be just fine. If you're doing hand-dyed threads, I would be very leery of doing any washing, because you run the risk of them bleeding, but DMC is pretty damn safe. Linnea Coates asks if I've ever heard of or read the Dorothy Must Die series. No, I haven't. I've been sort of meaning to, but I made the mistake one time of picking up a book series that ended up not getting finished. So I've decided pretty much universally that until I know for sure that it's going to have a conclusion, I'm just not. So once I think there's only one or two more left to be done, so I will probably read them then. But I have heard very good things. Every Stitch Counts asks about the hanging Munchkin rumor. That will be addressed at the end. I've done my research. Special Crafts and More asks where you get the patter Let's Go on an Adventure. I'm not doing that one. I'm thinking she means the Frosted Pumpkin mystery stitch along for the year, and that would be on their website, which I think is frostedpumpkin.com or frostedpumpkinstitchery.com. I don't buy any of their patterns anymore, although I am very tempted by this one. But it'll wait until it's all done, and then we'll see. Alright, and I think that's really all the Q&A. I love Q and A, so please, people, ask me Q&A. Alright, so let's do the haul, because I had some haul. Okay, so first, the always wonderful Julia was destashing, and so she sent me my first Victoria sampler. It's Gazebo Roses sampler, and I thought it was super pretty. So that's exciting. Yeah. I don't know when I'll do it, but I now have a Victoria sampler. Yay! And then I got, and one of these you'll see actually in a bit when I get to a whip. First, there's a new needle-minder girl in town who offered me a couple to plug her, so I'm always willing to plug. First, it came in these really cute bags that have shopping stuff. It's Nessa's Needle Minders, and if you search in the Facebook, you can find it there, and I will try to post it here as well. She's got some really, really fun ones that I had not seen before. So I got two, and these are interesting because they're bigger than I thought they would be, but they're a hard sort of resiny plastic about like that. I like them. So the first one I got was the Flintstones. And then the second one I got is one, she called it Creepy Oz, but it wasn't until I got it and looked at it that I realized it's actually Tim Burton characters as the Oz crew. So you've got Jack Skellington as the Scarecrow, the Corpse Bride as Dorothy, Frankenweenie as Toto, Edward Scissorhands as Tin Man, and Beetlejuice as the Lion. And Beetlejuice has a sandworm tail. How cool is that? So that was really cool. And then you'll see the third one in a moment. It's a Little Mermaid one. And then I got a very lovely gift as well from Jennifer Siberi of Delicious Threads, who I've bought from before and will buy from, I'm sure, again in the future. But she sent me, and this is going to go straight to my Hocus Pocus one, she gave me Hocus Pocus, this really cute sort of Dorothy, and then G squared as a Scrabble tile. And I don't know if G2 is always that, or if it's just G2, because that's what I call my partner. But I really like them. And she gave me a very nice note, which was a really lovely thing to get today. I had a very long, rough week at work. Not anything bad, per se, but there was just a lot going on. And one night I didn't sleep very well one night. And then we had another round with Puppy Bear where it was something completely, totally fine. It's the puppy equivalent of a scratchy throat. But because we just went through what we did, we were freaking out and being helicopter parents, and on it goes. So this was kind of a long week. I didn't get a lot of stitching done, not gonna lie. But still, very lovely to receive. And I will definitely be making purchases from both of them again in the future. I was actually sort of looking around, and there's some Harry Potter ones on Delicious Threads that I want, and Nessa's got a couple of really cool ones coming in that she's mentioned, so I'm definitely looking forward to definitely shopping from them. I'm hoping to eventually be out from under some of the debt that I'm under right now. Which also, I would like to remind people, if you have not purchased my charts, please go check me out on Etsy. If you have purchased my charts, thank you. Please, if you are willing, go leave me reviews. I've got 3 reviews. Thank you to those who have reviewed. But the more reviews, the more hits I'm able to get, which is the more money I'm able to get, which helps me buy some of it is stash, but there are times where, yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I've used it for groceries. So so I do thank everyone who has purchased so far. And I'm actually, depending on how I'm feeling, I may actually go ahead and start working on the villain design tonight, because I'd like to try and get it done before I go on vacation. Which, speaking of vacation, is actually back on. We were able to figure out a way to make it work, thanks to my wonderful parents. So I will not be doing a video next week. That reminds me. So, no video next week. I will be back in August. But, and this is a big, 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 awesome but, Stitch Niche has been saved. They were able to come to an agreement with a group of buyers, so they're finalizing the paperwork. So there is no liquidation sale, which honestly is probably good for my wallet. But, yeah. Stitch Niche is saved! Huzzah! And I'm going to talk to them about maybe getting my charts in there for sale, because that would be awesome. So yes, no video next week. Yeah. Alright. Let's see, so the next thing is gonna be my whips. So this week, see, one of the things I did was I worked on, I really did not stick to my original plan, and that's okay. I worked a little bit on Potpourri of Stitches. I finished all the cross-stitch, so now I've just got to start the triangles, and my goal for the month was to finish the cross-stitch and do 1 triangle. I think realistically it's probably just going to be all the cross-stitch, but isn't that gorgeous? So one of the things I've actually I learned off of this one is a little bit how to use some of the interesting variegated threads. that I will probably eventually incorporate into some of my own designs. But we shall see. Alright. Let's see. Then at work, the first half of the week, I worked on getting the... Whoa, we've got a mess of stuff. Nope. Yay, needle minder. I worked on the border of part 2 for the Pedal Pusher Wizard of Oz Sal. So there is part 2 all ready to go. I also picked up the remaining colors that I needed. I did get the color for the raindrops, but I'll probably do those at lunch at work this week. That's probably what I'll do. Okay, so work the air out of that a little better. So I picked up all of the DMC for that. And there will probably be some floss substitutions, but they'll show up as I get the parts. I did get one word in Hocus Pocus done. One word. So here is... There's Trim. Trim him of his baby fat. And that was largely just because I wasn't quite in the mood to work on words when I was doing it, and I wasn't in the mood. Like I said, I've been pretty tired this week. Emotionally draining weekend last weekend kind of set all that in motion. Alright, and then I worked on Things Unseen. Now this part I did actually get my goal done on. I got the top 3 rows done. And I know I've got some filigree to do. That'll be in the next month. So, there we go. Okay, so that leads me to the last one, which is actually technically a new start, but I started working on my model for the Disney Princesses. This is on Blush and Bashful from Under the Sea Fabrics, and I started Aurora. There's my other needle minder from Nessa's Needle Minders. It's Ariel. So I started with Aurora, so I started on that. So, I think that's everything in terms of whips. Alright, so I'm about to get back into the Oz thing, so those who prefer to check out at this part, please feel free. I do want to say once again thank you to Jennifer and Tanessa and Julia for your very lovely gifts. And again, to everyone who's bought for me, I definitely do appreciate it. I really, really do. And so, thank you. I feel like I don't always say that enough to people in my life that I appreciate, and I do appreciate y'all. So, I guess without further ado, I will go ahead and do the last part of the Summer of Oz, and then we will do the Munchkin Suicide. Alright, so the last piece, this is really kind of the appropriate place, because this is about the time summer stock really died, is the 1988 Long Beach CLO production of Wizard of Oz, and I see that our lovely puppy bear has already destroyed one of his... We've been doing Bark Box, and he's had this less than 3 hours, and he's already destroyed his... July of 1988, Long Beach CLO, which was one of the last big hang-ins for summer theater, Not totally last. There are still a couple. There's the Muni is still very, very active. Kansas City Starlight, I don't think is producing anything anymore. Dallas Summer Musicals isn't really producing anything anymore. So really, this is kind of the Muni's really, and Sacramento and North Shore are really the only three still around. Of the big, big ones. And even then, Sacramento and North Shore were not that big until the 90s and today. Anyhow. So Long Beach did The Wizard of Oz. And this was the U.S. premiere of the RSC staging of Oz. And it had a couple of very interesting cast members. Known more for theater than anything, Pamela Myers and Susan Watson as the two witches. Known to fans of the film Grease for years, Michael Tucci, who I want to say was Sonny, played the lion. And one Miss Kathy Rigby making her debut, one of her first big debuts as Dorothy Gale. And there's some pictures. And let's give me a little hard. We'll bring it closer this way. So see, there's Kathy Rigby as Dorothy. So, she played Dorothy a couple of times in a couple of different places. I think this is her first time playing Dorothy. And she did it again, I want to say maybe a year later, in Sacramento with Elle Marie Wendell, the landlady from Third Rock from the Sun, as the Wicked Witch, and I think that would have been a hoot. So there you go. So that was the Long Beach CLO's production of The Wizard of Oz with Kathy Rigby. Probably the last really big, glamorous production. And no, I'm not counting the late 90s tour with Mickey Rooney, because that wasn't the full show, that was a 90-minute cutting. Although that was probably the last really glamorous production. Alright, so, Munchkin suicide time. Which sounds horrible. Alright, first off, I'm going on record saying that is complete and total crap. And I don't care who tries to convince you otherwise. It's complete and total crap. For those who don't know, there is a long-standing rumor that in the Wizard of Oz, when Dorothy and her friends, Dorothy, Scarecrow, and Tin Man are skipping up the Yellow Brick Road on their way before they meet the lion, if you look in the background, there is something that's moving in the background, very kind of oddly. The long-standing rumor is that it was a Munchkin who hung himself from a tree during filming, and nobody noticed, and they left it in the film. Okay, so first off, it is not a Munchkin, it is a bird. The rumor started originally back in about the 70s, not as a hanging Munchkin, mind you, but that it was some sort of technician that was caught accidentally in the background. Like all great myths, there is a kernel of truth. What was going on was to add some realism to that scene and to other scenes along the Yellow Brick Road. There are birds. There are live birds from the Los Angeles Zoo that were borrowed for the production, and it is a stork walking in the background to provide atmosphere. 75 years later, people are still thinking that poor, long-dead stork is a person. And so, some of the reasons why this is a little ridiculous. Number one, all of those trees that are back there are flat. Or painted. They're not actually physical trees. They aren't something that you could hang yourself from. At least not without destroying everything around it and falling to the ground yourself. So, physically wise, that's a little ridiculous. The argument... The Munchkins were on set while that was filming. I did my research. The Munchkins began... This is according to The Munchkins of Oz, which is a really fascinating book about the Munchkins themselves. The Munchkins began their 7 weeks worth of work on November 11th, 1938. According to the production timeline found in the 75th Anniversary Deluxe Edition, the scenes in the apple orchard were all filmed in early November. The Munchkins arrived on November 11th. They began filming the trees, or the beginning parts of that scene on November 15th, and then had to scrap the first 3 days because they realized they'd forgotten to make the Tin Man rusty. November 19th, they filmed Off to See the Wizard. Now, mind you that by this point, by November 19th, that's about 2 weeks after the Munchkins arrive on set. No, I guess it's a week. By this point, they're already working on costumes and makeup. And then shooting for Munchkinland began in mid-December. So, and by the time... And then shortly after the 19th, so I'm going to guess probably around the 21st, they start shooting the Lions stuff. So, we're talking, they were on set for 8 days. That is not enough time for a lovelorn Munchkin to hang themselves. One of the other big problems with this is, if it was actually filming, why is no one around them reacting to someone who is killing themselves? Because if we can see it, you can sure as hell bet that Judy Garland, Ray Bolger, and Jack Haley were definitely able to see it, especially considering they go almost directly past them. So you've got that problem. Now, there are people that go, oh, well, they just digitally added in the stork. If you look at this version, it's clearly someone hanging. No. The hanging Munchkin rumor didn't start until the 90s, largely because in the 90s, the internet got popular. And we all know what the internet likes to do. It's true. So you've got that working against it. The fact that nobody responds to this. If it were, and they were trying to cover it up, which I'm not denying, Hollywood did do a lot of cover-ups, but it was always stuff that happened off-stage, never on. Because the stuff that happened on stage, someone would have talked about it. I spoke to someone who actually contacted Ray Bolger in the 70s, and he said he'd never noticed anything unusual. If you also watch, just before they get ready to do the Off to See the Wizard, you see the stork walking past them in the background, and then it heads off to the back of the set, where it just sort of chills out. So you've got all of those factors involved. So you've got the fact that they have birds rented. The fact that, yeah, the Munchkins were there, but the time frame of it was pretty minimal. Although, admittedly, Marinhart Robb, who played the coroner, did say that he was on the Apple Orchard set and saw the trees. But still, the likelihood is slim to none. You've got the fact that the area of the set that's being spoken about were not any sort of practical units. They were backdrop. It was backdrop and a few small flat trees. And there is a fabulous book called The Wizardry of Oz, and I'm pretty sure the blueprints for that set are actually in there. Unfortunately, given the fact that the blueprints at that time, I was in high school when that book came out, were like 60 years old already, on very yellowing paper with, I think, sort of a brown pencil. They wouldn't show up on here. But check out The Wizardry of Oz. In general, if you're a big fan of The Wizard of Oz or films from that time period, it's a pretty awesome book because they have all sorts of cool things. So you've got that working against it. Again, you've got the fact that nobody seems to notice this person hanging, which you should. It just, there are too many factors working against it for it to actually be legitimate. So, I wasn't able to find where the rumor actually started. My guess is, like I said, the 90s with the internet, and the prevalence of the Munchkins in the 90s because they were the only surviving cast members. But it's highly unlikely. Enough so that I'm willing to label it crap. Snopes even labels it crap. And Snopes is pretty good with their stuff. So, there you go. There you go. That's really about it. So, I hope everyone's having a great week. Again, thanks to everyone who purchases from me, and for all of you who actually watch me. And I'll see y'all soon.